Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Carmela's Rasslin Radio Relived with my buddy Jeannie. How are you, honey?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? Trying to stay warm.
Oh, I know
It's
this
cold. Time to
weather's
move to
crazy.
Hawaii.
And I like the cold. Believe me, I love the cold. My arthritis doesn't, but I do. Behind me, I have a picture of a beautiful lady. She's
Yes.
going to be on our podcast tonight, part two. We're looking forward to talking to her. But in the meantime, we're going to put out some stuff. I just heard today that we have 884, I believe, signatures for the banner.
Okay.
So we need 100 and wait a minute. Let me just make sure. I'm gonna look on my phone because Joel texted me, and all he did was send me the number. Yeah, no, 844. I apologize. 844. So we need 156 more. Okay.
Wow.
Now
Let me write
I'm gonna. I'll tell you what, Jeannie. I'm giving us credit for a lot of this, and I don't care. Okay, because ever
that.
since we started promoting this, the numbers went up. All right. So I'm just asking you again. Sign, sign, sign. We always have the link up. Get somebody else to sign. We don't need that many more. Okay. When it gets closer to the end of the time before the actual wrestling event, we're going to do a tribute to Larry Winters, and that will be part of the banner issue as well.
Right.
But I just want to talk about real fast about what happened on AEW last week. And I'm a proponent of AEW, and my boy, Will Ospreay. Okay, it was amazing. He came out and he wanted to make amends with Kenny Omega because there was a time when my baby boy was a bad guy. Okay, he was in the Don Callis family, and he actually hurt Kenny Omega. Anyway, he called Kenny Omega out, blah, 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 tried to apologize to him. Kenny Omega said, I hate you. I don't trust you. I never should have trusted you. And I was ready to cry. And then the Don Callis family comes out and starts beating them up. So both of them jump in and they're all beating each other up. And then they run around the whole arena, which was awesome. And then at one point, Will jumps up. He jumps on top of Kyle Fletcher, goes from Kyle Fletcher to the second story there, the second railing, goes to the top of the railing, does a flip, and lands on everybody, which, of course, other wrestlers have done that, but they're not Will Ospreay. But anyway, during the course of the fight, Will
He stole
Ospreay.
that from DC Drake and Larry Winters.
Yes, he did.
Yes,
I'll
he
give you
did.
that. Yes, he did.
There we go.
But Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega beat up for the Don Callis people. I don't remember all their names now because I just don't. But anyways, it was Takeshita, Cage, Lance somebody, and Kyle Fletcher. There, I got most of them. Okay, so anyway, they got all beat up. So now their next pay-per-view in Australia is going to be Omega and Ospreay against Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. So hopefully we'll be able to see that on Max, and that will be a very good pay-per-view. Want to also say part 2 of my interview with Lee Cole on Wrestling with the Devil was just dropped today. So go to Lee Cole. It's Lee Cole 111, I think it is. I think that's his YouTube. But anyway, if you look on Facebook, I dropped the link. So go and listen. There's a lot of stuff up there, a lot of old stuff, a lot of secrets. Okay, so I'm kind of excited about that. But anyway, we're going to talk real fast before we get Heidi back on about the show. It's going to be the 3rd of May. Okay. We're going to talk to Heidi because we just found out information of what Heidi's going to actually be doing. Okay. And it's going to be a great show. And during the course of the time that we interview Heidi, we're going to talk about it as well. But first, I want to bring Heidi on, and I want to thank her 100% for doing a part 2 because part 1 just definitely wasn't enough. So without any further ado, you ready, Heidi? Here we go. Okay, here she is. Hey.
Hello.
Hi.
How
you doing, girl?
I am weathering winter.
Yes.
I know.
But I'll bump the pun there.
Exactly. Look at you. Aren't you beautiful?
Oh, thank you. You're so good for my ego.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You are an amazing woman. Amazing. Oh, and as I put on Facebook, what I wanted to start talking about tonight before we jumped into the wrestling, tell us what you do for a living and tell us what you do, especially with helping women in the area. I'm a big advocate for women, and you do an incredible job with the women. And I'm going to shut up now. Go ahead.
Wait, thank you very much, Carmela. So since since I have retired from the wrestling industry per se, meaning I do personal appearance on autograph signings, but I don't take bumps. I broke my back in '97 at
Oh.
for Alpha during a match, and 7 years later had to have major back surgery. So, the boo boos are real.
Mm-hmm.
And my first love, as you all know, was always working out, which is how I got into the industry, not just because I was a second generation wrestler, but because I was competing. And those trophies helped land me a bodybuilding exhibition from September of 1985 to March of 1986 for WWE. Who was WWF at the time, from the Spectrum in Philadelphia to Boston Arena to Pittsburgh Arena down to Baltimore, was as far as I went south, and as far north as I went was up to Boston. And because I was only 19 at the time, my mom traveled with me. We normally just went up for the day and came back. I always shared a dressing room with Macho Man and Elizabeth. And I would go out, do my 90-second routine in front of 25,000 people. Back then, that was a huge arena. They were selling out because of the first WrestleMania with Cyndi Lauper in '85.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward to that, that's always been I always have gone back to my fitness end. Now, when I say fitness, it's not, I don't follow, there's not one female competitor I follow. There's not one male that I follow in the industry. I am more in the industry following physical therapists, occupational therapists, orthopedic doctors, because my responsibility now is to help people move. And so I have been blessed to be able to use my ordained gift working with Planet Fitness Corporation as it's we're considered personal trainers, but we're actually more than a personal trainer. We're educators on how to use every last apparatus in our facility, which is why they can't keep trainers, which is why if anybody frequents a Planet Fitness, it's very few and far in between that they offer trainers, but trainers in the industry of training, and Angel, I think you can vouch for this, all they want to do is one person at a time. And that's not what my job is. From being a physical education teacher when my daughter was little for 9 years, I didn't stay in that industry because I was a college dropout. But I had enough credits to help me with parochial school. So for 10 years, I worked from pre-K to eighth grade on helping children move and educating them on fitness. So
Okay.
and then my kids that couldn't stand sports, I'm like, okay, but you might want to be a journalist. So you need to know how many football players are on the field, how many basketball players are on a court, how many hockey players are on a court. So if you're a journalist, even if you don't like to physically be involved, you have to know the sport. Or maybe you watch the Olympics, or maybe that's not what you're into. Maybe you're into the calisthenics. There's so many avenues. So the opportunity came as I was, doing I had a state job, and that's also from the state job working with mentally and physically disabled. I became educated because the state of New Jersey, and I'm very grateful for this, paid for me to get educated on working with people with physical disabilities on movement. Because in my end, we had a lot of residents in this area. I was in a group home setting, and they had Special Olympics, which is a worldwide thing, created by the Kennedy family. I have to say that. The Kennedy family came up with the Special Olympics because they had a special needs. Robert and Jonathan had a sibling that had, or a niece that had special needs. And that being said, you fast forward, I was working with the state, and I couldn't understand. I'm like, nobody wanted to go with the residents to these different events. And they're like, well, you're a gym teacher. We don't do that. We just take them to a program, we feed them, we give them their meds, and that's it. I'm like, but I want to do that. So it opened up an opportunity where the state educated me how to work with people with disabilities. And this is how God works, and I'm not preaching faith, but this is in my life. Okay. So I have to give a testimony. So he knew I dropped out of college. He knew my first love and my ordained gift was to help people move and to fall in love with fitness. So he opened up opportunities for me to learn to further my career. You fast forward years later, and here I am. I didn't go, I put it in God's hands. I'm like, if I am supposed to be training people, you are gonna, because I was going through my divorce, the whole 9 yards. And I'm like, at that point I didn't know if I was coming or going. And I just said to God, I submit to you. If I'm supposed to be training people, they're going to come after me. I am not going to go after this.
Right.
It will, because I was arrogant. I was pompous. I thought my poo didn't stink in the industry when we were personal training people. And God humbled me completely and 100%, dropped me to my knees, double shoulder surgery, lost my mom, lost my husband, everything. I lost everything.
Mm.
And I'm smiling, but it's the truth. I absolutely did. And I had to rebuild myself. And during that time of rebuilding, I just said, I know in my heart of hearts, this is the one thing that always came easy. And, Steve Harvey, you have a lot of these different individuals say, whatever your gift is, it comes easy. Like you might be given a gift of cutting hair or styling your hair or makeup, or maybe you love taking care of the yard. If this is something that comes easy, maybe you need to be a lawn care service. Maybe you need to be a hairdresser. Maybe, and these are, or a baker. Like these are gifts that you're given that you need to tone into. And you know, that being said, I was training at Planet Fitness in Millville, and the supervisors there, they all knew my past with the wrestling. They were all big wrestling fans. They were wonderful customer service as a member there. And they kept on asking me, I'm like, you guys only hire, and at that time, they only hired full-time people, only 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, guys, you only hire full-time. I have a state job. I'm going through a divorce. I don't know when you expect me to work for you, but when do you expect me to work for you? And I'm not starting in at what you're paying, because you can go on any webpage and see what the beginning fees and where they max out, what the trainers are. I don't make that at all. I make above that because
Right. Right.
I have years of experience.
Right.
So I guess after about 9 months, I'm like, they kept on driving me nuts, the supervisors. I said, listen, they're like, well, I said, I can't work full time. Okay, well, what can you give us? I'm like, oh, good grief. I could only give you 4 hours a day. Well, what time? I'm like, I don't know. 3 to 5, 3 to 8. That's all I can do, Monday through Friday, because I was graveyard shift with the state.
Right.
And they're like, we'll take it. And I'm like, I ain't coming in at your starting rate. And they're
Mm.
like, well, we'll negotiate. So we did negotiate. I came in at a higher rate because of what I was bringing to the table. And there wasn't a piece of equipment I didn't know how to use. There wasn't a piece of apparatus. I'm certified in TRX. I'm certified in Pilates. There's not one certificate. I'm not certified in Zumba, because we all know I have two left feet. Okay. When it comes to dancing, that's probably the only thing I'm not certified in. And so that being said, I started out part-time, and my owners, the Thomas brothers, I love them. They saw something in me. They brought it out. They polished me. They toned. They just like helped just sculpt me into this incredible person, learning etiquettes, manners, dealing with people, public, because my wrestling mentality sometimes would kick in, and which was a good thing. I'm like, oh, I'm like the, because I'm the one they come to now if there's an issue where there's domestic going on with members fighting, and the front end will be like, Miss Heidi, and I drop what I'm doing and I'll come running to the front. I'm like,
Oh.
yeah, this crazy y'all like now, right? But they offered the opportunity, and they also had a contest with the 7 facilities that my boss, the Art Thomas brothers, owned 7 facilities. And in each one of their facility, they had 2 personal trainers in each facility. So they always, Planet Fitness strictly goes by statistics. Okay. That's how come they charge so less for people to use their facilities, because they go by head count. The more head count, they're able to navigate and keep everybody happy at an affordable price. So they also, with the trainers, they had a competition that however many people you train successfully each quarter or each month, at the end of each quarter, you would get a gift certificate above and beyond. And it was a Visa card or a MasterCard, right? Non taxable. And uh, as God is my witness, I hold it up in testimony since July 14th of 2018. I have held the record for the facilities of being the number one trainer because I average 1,000 people a month that I educate. And it's
Wow.
Wow.
of all ages. And
Okay,
it's,
so when can you start working on me?
well, you just got to come to my facility.
I got to come down to Vineland. Oh my God, you're so far
Vineland.
away.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I mean, we could
Oh,
do FaceTime and I can work out with you.
that'd be great. I would do that because I have all these issues. I have artificial knees, artificial shoulder. I have spinal fusion. I can't get on my knees. I can't run. All that baloney. But we're going to have to talk, you and I.
Yes. So that being said, Carmela, I have a lot of people that if you ever come to Planet Fitness in Vineland and you see we have a 30-minute circuit room, and
Mhm.
I will have all kinds of tape on the floor, on the wall, the posts are marked. And I literally, there's every day I have to offer that course once a day, right? And each course is just a half hour. Each class is a half hour long. But 3 of those days are my early morning days. And I can only have 20 people in that class because there's 20 stations.
Right.
And I average 17 to 20 people faithfully during even this month of January because
Wow.
they're seniors over the age of 60. And I'm only 2 years away, a year actually away
That's
from
me.
60.
I'm over
But
60.
right, the majority of, and they all have boo-boos. So if you come into the 30-minute room, you'll see tape on the wall. It will say right arm, right knee, lift your hip up, lift that. And it just, we have a wonderful time. The reputation precedes itself. And I don't have to, I can go to work and you either use me for an amenity or you don't. I'm not offended. If you want help, I'm there to help you. I'm not there to be a traditional a trainer where I'm going to have you jump off the building and I'm not that at all. I am there to help you move and have a functional life. That is what my job is.
That's
And
perfect.
I'm honored. I'm truly honored with my career path that was opened up for me.
Well, that's great because now we can tell everybody who lives near Vineland to go down there and join Planet Fitness where you are and get to meet the amazing Heidi Lee Morgan and have to have training with her. Now, when let's go back to what I said earlier in the beginning of the show for a second. Um, does your training that you do have anything to do also with helping women maybe with the domestic violence stuff and with the community stuff that you do? Because I see all your stuff on Facebook about how you go out on talks and you help people get uh places to stay and things to do and
That's on
food
my
and
own. That's now because I come across so many individuals. And too, being in the wrestling industry, you can go from
Mhm.
town to town and meet so many different people, correct?
Right.
So I am afforded an opportunity where you have to, whatever gifts you are given, you have to definitely let those gifts be used, right?
Right.
So I have many women that will come to me and we have a design your own or new member orientation for Planet. So this is where I get to meet and greet and I get to talk to them by themselves for a half hour. And my mother always said I had the gift of a comfort zone where anybody would feel comfortable talking to me and telling, like I'm going to go to my grave with a lot of not secrets, but personal information that's nobody's business. It's their place to
Confidential.
share.
Yeah.
Yeah, very confidential. I've never anybody that knows me my entire life, even when I went to my 40th high school reunion, it was beautiful that two of my classmates, one of the young ladies was talking about how she was mean. And I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't do that. I would, and they're like, and the two other girls, Michelle and Betty, they both looked and said, yeah, no, not you. no, not Heidi. Heidi never was like that. And I said, really? That's what you're guy? Oh no, you were the one that defended everybody. Like if somebody was being picked on, you would come up and say, oh no, no, no. And you don't realize, right? And it
Yeah.
actually made me want to cry because I'm like, you know, some of my friends are like, the reason why you're single is because you're so what's that word? Intimidating, right? And I'm like, well, if I'm intimidating, how come everybody's like, oh, we feel so safe around you? You know?
That's why, because you're
Like,
intimidating to the people who need to be intimidated. That's
right,
why.
you know? So, and bear with me because I'm babysitting my grandpuppy. I mean, my great niece. So, anyhow, I meet so many, and the last 6 years alone, not to mention the rest, my life prior to that, um, meeting so many people that have such interesting stories. And then being able, when I did do the one-on-one training with another facility called Anytime, that's where you had to hustle up the sale and you only trained one person at a time. I trained a lot of nurses, a lot of doctors, a lot of counselors. So that actually, again, God putting people in your place or putting people strategically in your life, not
Mm-hmm.
realizing, you fast forward 7 years later, that I come across and I'm like, okay, you know what, here, I'll say, you know what, I've got a number, but let me contact them first. And there's like 7 different counselors that all have different avenues of counseling, and I'll inbox them. I'm like, hey, this is what's going on, and they'll be like, okay, don't give them my direct line, but give them the business line. And so I help just passing off when they come to me quietly. Here, call them. Melissa's waiting for you, Shannon's waiting for you, this one's waiting for you, that one's waiting for you, and to help, and then opportunities to public relations. I've always been big on public relations, um, doing stuff for my community. I love my town. This has been a very, very good town for me. 29 years that I will be 30 May 10th that I've lived in Vineland, and not ashamed to say it. But Vineland has been a very good open arm town for me to live in. And the least I can do is be able to, I would never be a politician, but if I can help somebody here, put in, you want a part-time job because you're mommy. I know some people that take care of the traffic, the busing transportation for the city
Mm-hmm.
of Vineland. Oh, you're looking to be a preschool teacher, here, call this number. And all I'm doing is just passing it forward. That's all I'm doing. No commission, no you owe me, I owe you, nothing like that. It's strictly just trying to help each other out. And uh I enjoy doing that. I mean, I'm grateful that I'm in a position. I don't make buku bucks. I live okay, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to give back to the community, um, and I'm extremely grateful. So if I'm able to help, I'm
Right.
going to. Because there's serious issues in this world with the domestic abuse, with the cancer. We have Planet Fitness themselves are very involved with the Boys and Girls Club. And here, before I even started working for Planet Fitness myself, I had an in with the Boys and Girls Club where we did the month of June for like 3 years in a row. Every Wednesday, we would go for when it was after school time. Because the kids were still in school, so it would be May going into June, like four Wednesdays every year
Mm-hmm.
for like 4 years. We would go take all of our boot camp stuff, the tires, the this and that, and work with the youth, the different ages. And then me being a gym teacher, I knew what was age appropriate,
Right.
which was a big plus. And so all these things that you do in your past, um, is, if you don't have the opportunity or the patience, let me just say the patience to continue with your education, there's always ways that opportunities to take advantage of that will help you achieve what you're destined to be or in what you're to do.
Hmm.
And the talk show, I didn't know
Yes.
if you wanted to lead into
Yes.
that.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Wherever you want to go, we're going.
So when the pandemic happened, that was uh, March 2020. We shut
Right.
down, right? The whole world shut down,
Yep.
and right before that, I was still part time with Planet Fitness, and my bosses kept on asking me to come there full time. I'm like, guys, I'm going through a divorce. I just signed the all the papers. I'm like a year and a half into being legally divorced. I couldn't survive on, you know,
That
what
salary.
at, on what you were giving
Yeah.
me for the four
Yeah.
hours a day, right? Not that it's bad, still good money, but and they're like, well, how about what are you making with the state? So I showed them what I made with the state, and they matched it. They matched
Wow.
it. There was no argument. There was no rhyme or reason. And when that happens, I put in my resignation for the state of New Jersey uh, in January of 2020. Now we weren't threatened yet to be shut down. And that February, I started my Woman Encouraging Woman LLC. And that came about from when me and my ex husband were running boot camps in 2014. I had women coming to me talking. They would say stuff to him, and he's like, "Go talk to my wife." And they would come talk to me, and that's when it really started. Them really opening up deeply, and that's when I would start. Okay, well, let's see how we can help you here. And at the time, I was at another part of the state working. And so I had resources that I could help them with, right? Because the boot camp was just part time, it was not full time.
Hmm.
And so two of my friends, Danielle Tharp, she works in for corporate now for Wawa. She was promoted last year, so she finally went from the store into management. And then another friend of mine, Sharon Connor, she works for the Violent Board of Ed with special needs in the school system. These two women always came to our boot camp, and they're like my kid sisters. And we were talking, and I'm like, I really need to do like a talk show and have these women tell their stories on how they survived. And
Right.
Danielle and Sharon are like, yeah, you really need to. So when all this was going on, before I knew the state was going to shut down, and I was conversing with my two friends, and they're like, now's the time to do it, one woman at a time, Heidi. That's what you always say. And that's
Hmm.
where I came up with Woman Encouraging Woman, not MEN, it's MAN, because it's one at a time, because
Hmm.
that's the only way it can turn into MEN. You know what I mean? Instead of singular, it
Right.
becomes plural, right? Because we each have to do our part, and just one at a time, one at a time. And if we're not willing to share our accomplishments or our failures to show everyone it's okay to fail, what's not okay is having a pity party and staying there. You have to rise up. No one's going to do it for you. You
Hmm.
have to do it, or
Exactly.
you're just gonna dissolve,
Yeah.
and that's not what this life is about. This life is about living every moment that you possibly can. Doesn't mean you have to live in a mansion. That's not what living is.
No.
It's not going on big exotic trips. It's not having the biggest car or vehicle. What it's meant is that we all help each other somehow, some way, and just embrace that journey. So I legalized it, and I thought, okay, well, now I had this vision in my head that I would go on, like, I would do first. I initially had two shows done in my house. I had a Reiki practitioner, and we talked 15 minutes on the segment, A, B, C, and D. Then we did, as we were doing that, we did a real quick like meal prep. She had a recipe we shared. That was another 15 minutes. And then the last 5 minutes was for ab exercises, because I'm known in this area for like abolitionist abs. They're like, if you want abs, Heidi's the one to go to. It doesn't matter
Oh.
what age she is, she will kill your abs. And, which is kind of funny. And so I did two shows like that. One was with a chiropractor from Dr. Ray Marquez's office. Dr. Stacy did, and she explained how she got her education, and then the Reiki practitioner. And then I'm like, well, maybe I can go on location, because then I had other friends that the one lady married, her husband and her have Impact Mixed Martial Arts Studio, first black belt in the area, and she's an Air Force. She retired from the Air Force, so
Very
she's
cool.
real. Like, she's very real, very like
Hmm.
I'm her mother's age, which is really funny, but because you forget that you're that age. I mean, you
Yeah,
remember,
yeah.
but you forget. But so I went on location to their studio, and she had a couple of females that participated in the classes behind, and then she demonstrated on me some of the moves that they do in jujitsu. And then we finished off, she let me do 4 core exercises with them. And then a judge, the first African judge, um, uh, at the time, she was just appointed the judge for the city of Vineland. And we
Okay.
did hers in a library, and then she did 4 ab exercises. And as I'm doing this, I had a gentleman put, like, I paid him to put them on YouTube. So I have 13 of Woman
Oh,
Encouraged
wow.
episodes on YouTube from 2020. And I use my pro wrestling. So you got to type in Heidi, and the wrestling comes up, and you can put episode 1. And if you put the episode 1, it will literally take you to one of those talk shows.
So you
Then
just do Heidi episode 1.
Heidi Lee Morgan,
Heidi Lee Morgan episode 1, and it'll
right?
come up. Okay.
And it will
Okay.
come up in episode 2. And I did 13 episodes, but I did 2 episodes before the pandemic happened. Then the
Okay.
pandemic happens. And I'm like, okay, God, you got a sense of humor. I just left the state of New Jersey, froze my pension, the whole 9 yards. This is how good God's sense of humor is. Not only did he shut the state down, I left the state February 14th. My nurses were upset because I worked under the nurses. They were my supervisors. They were trying to coerce me in staying. I'm like, no, I'm done. I want to go do, what I'm ordained to do. Yeah, but you're so good with our seniors. I'm like, that's okay. I'm done. And then we were shut down. I'm like, okay, this is fine. Maybe a month. We're thinking that we would just be shut down for a month, right? And then we find out, no, we're not shut down for a month. We're literally shut down until September 1st. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, that's all right, because now the stimulus. I'm like, okay, I can collect a stimulus. No, I will be fine. This is fine. Like, God's just testing me. I'm just being tested. And I'm like, but I'm still doing the episodes. I'm like, nope, I'm still going forward, seeing who I can do, who I can interview, yada yada, with, like, trying to keep it under the radar, not get into trouble, because you're not supposed to be socializing with anyone.
Hmm.
And then my bathroom shower, I had tiles, and two tiles were loose. So I have a friend that's a tile layer, and he came over, and I said, can you repair that? Right. And he touched the wall, and it all crumbled. And I just started crying. He's like, you need a new bathroom.
Oh, wow.
So, hitting rock bottom. I didn't hit rock bottom, but I did. I literally, in order to survive the pandemic, I had to cash out my pension, because what I was going to do, since I had it frozen, I was just going to take a loan out, because I had enough money there to do it. But what the state told me, the pension bureau told me, was, because I have it frozen and I no longer work for the state of New Jersey, the only way they would allow that is if I went back to work for the state of New Jersey, because now I'm going to be having it deducted out of my pay. I said, but it's my money. And I'm
Hmm.
like, it doesn't matter. You still have to pay it back or cash it out. And I'm
Hmm.
like, are you kidding me? So I had to cash it
Actually, I'm
out.
going through that right now.
Oh my God. I
Yeah.
had to cash it out. I'm like, God, and I literally heard him clear as day. Do you trust me? Like, you're finally doing what I told you to do, what you're ordained to do. You should have been doing this at 17, but you all these other avenues you took because of life and because we all hit Y's in the road, whatever. Not bad. It's not a bad thing that these Y's hit, right? You have to make a choice. And at the end of the day, those Y's bring you back to where your destiny is supposed to be anyhow, if you stay on the right track, right? So I'm like, okay, I had to cash it out. And I'm like, I had to put complete trust. So because of that, I was able to do going on to location with my Women Encouraging Women. But then September 1st came and we started back work again. So now it's like, okay, now, no, I can't, because now I don't have the stimulus and the extra money coming in. I'm only going to have one paycheck, right? And so that being said, I put it on hold
Mm-hmm.
doing the interviews with the women. So that was in 2020. You fast forward, I still had my business, Woman Encouraging Woman. I still did the personal training, the nutritional aspect of it, X, Y, and Z. And then an opportunity came July of 2022, 2 years later. Um, the radio station, we have friends that have political shows on the radio station. That's all I'm going to say. I don't get involved with politics.
Mm-hmm.
But they happen to the one talk show host hits me up and says, listen, there was a religious show on at 5 o'clock Sunday nights. They pulled out because they can't afford the slot. You know, if you're still, do you still have the women that you interview like you did, that we see that you've posted? And I'm like, yeah, I got women that are willing to talk. Absolutely.
Right. Right.
So I called him up and he says, here's the number. This is the owner. Call the owner and XYZ. So I called Carl Hempel Jr., who is one of the owners of 92.1 FM. And I went in person and I said, listen, my shows are not going to be political. If you guys have a problem with a woman that's a lesbian, or if you have a problem with me talking to a woman that has been domestically abused and they're
Mm-hmm.
fighting back, then I can't be on your show, because it's the women's testimony. And
Exactly.
he's like, no, Heidi, we're not going to do that. I said, well, I don't want any issues, if there is, because I'm very non-biased. It's not my place to judge. And he
Right.
said, no issues. If you have women that are willing to talk, you can have it, and as long as you can pay for your spot. You got 13, each, there's 13 weeks for each segment that you have to pay for. So I'm like, okay, it's going to cost X amount of dollars. I could probably swing it, but then I'm cutting it close. So how am I going to do this? I'm willing to give up my time, but I need the time paid for. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put a proposal into my bosses, for Planet Fitness, Art Thomas Brothers. So I send them a letter. I said, this is the opportunity that I have. And they're wrestling fans, which was very helpful for me.
Right. Right. Yeah, that definitely
Because
was.
they know the industry per se, not like you do, of course, like you guys do, but they're very knowledgeable about the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew that I did have a name in the industry. I mean, I might have not been a champion for WWE, but I also, you know, I helped pave the way, like Judy and all these other women. Like there's a
Yeah.
plethora of women. There's just an incredible plethora of women. And so I asked them, and they said, okay, this is what we'll do. We'll do the first 13 weeks and the third 13 weeks. So the first 13 weeks they paid for. The second 13 weeks I paid for. The third 13 weeks Planet Fitness paid for. And then the last one I paid for. And then getting ready to do it the following year because August is my anniversary date. The owner came down in June of that year and he says, we're paying for the whole year. I said, what?
Wow.
And he says, we're paying for the whole year because your show is reaching so many people in such a positive way that
Exactly.
because it's not my story. Like I able to ask them questions, they're able to talk, it's comfortable for them, they don't feel pushed up on, they don't, it's just very laid back and easy going, like we're having a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or
Hmm.
soda, whatever, and just asking them questions and then knowing how to navigate when they answer something that goes into another question, right? And you know that because
Of course.
you understand journalism.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
And it's just opened so many, I've just met so many. I mean, I had one woman from Libya that was brought over by our government because they tried to kill her because she protested against her government because of the communism. And she was my New Year's guest for 2020 three, my, but going into the new year, and it was a heck of a testimony. And like I
Hmm.
said, I've had judges, attorneys. I mean, these women just are just so incredible. And I had a clam digger on my show that I learned that industry. You can't just go and apply for a license in the state of New Jersey to be a legalized fisherman or a crabber. If you're not born into that family or into that industry, have a relative or friend that already has a license, you're not getting in. You are
Wow.
not getting in. That's number one. And number two, they don't just hand those license out easily. It's like a liquor license. They don't hand the liquor license out easily,
Hmm.
state of New Jersey. And then also on top of that, the shoulder workout they get, it's like using a pitchfork. I mean, a uh, what is it? A forge? Oh, yeah, a pitch, not a pitchfork. Um, the one that digs holes, a post hole digger. The clam diggers look like a post hole digger with a rake
Hmm.
on it because
Yeah.
it's just incredible. So I've learned so many different things, and I have a hell of a lineup going now. My schedule for I'm booked all the way up until the end of March.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
it's funny you should say that because we're booked right now till the end of February. Right now, we're in the process of booking March. But now, if you don't mind, I want to take it a little bit out of that
yep,
category, and we're going to bring in wrestling,
you got
the
it.
current wrestling. Now, we were told that you are going to be part of One and Done. You're going to be part of the May 3rd. I'm so happy to hear that. So excited. And tell us what you're going to be doing there. I'm excited to hear it.
I am so very, very excited. I get to, so I'm not taking bumps, but I get to be inside the square circle as a guest referee
Yeah. Very
um
cool.
yes, for, I'm not going to say because I don't want Joel hollering at me. He is not, listen, he's never had to holler at me. I'm not going to start now.
He yells at me all the time. I'm
Right.
just letting you know that.
Yeah. So I'm not going to give them, listen, not this, because we know the industry. You have to mum's the word until they want to promote it. Right.
Well, yeah,
So
Joel still does kayfabe, so we have to, honor that.
absolutely.
But
And I'm not going to disrespect that.
yep.
But the match that I am going to referee, the contestants agreed, the wrestlers agreed, and he's got them on, locked in with the contract. And I just know that the fans that are coming to the show are going to truly love the match.
Well,
Absolutely, yeah.
what we can say is that it has been changed now. Oh, there you
On
go. It has been changed from a regular match to a triple threat.
Yes,
That we can say you are going to be refereeing a triple threat match I'm
my
not
brain's gonna be
sure.
all over the place.
Yep. I'm not sure if we're allowed to say who all three women are, but if we are, we're going to come back on next week and say it. But Jeannie and I are beyond excited.
Yes.
It'll be so nice to see you because we haven't seen you in person in a million years.
And you're also going to be at the WrestleCon in the afternoon from 12 to 3:30, correct?
Yes, I am.
Signing autographs and
yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. We want to make sure that everybody who's listening right now, and I got to tell you, Heidi, I'm ready to book you for part 3. I am seriously ready to book you for part 3 because you know what? Again, I am a big advocate for women. I have always been. And if I could do what you're doing in this area for you to help the women, I would jump on it in a heartbeat. So that's something else we need to talk about. But
absolutely, because the stories they're not just here in Vineland.
No.
I've had Candace from Florida who's in the industry. Angel, I think you know that.
Who?
Candace. Oh my
goodness. Candace Michelle?
Yes, I think.
Okay.
Is that right? No, Candace Kappa. She's originally from Hamilton, New Jersey. She was she was a cheerleader. She's with one of the original oh my God, he's from Hamilton area. Oh my God, I'm going brain dead. That's my age. But she was on my show. And we did it via satellite. But so she's a matter of fact, she's with the Women's Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Oh wow. Very cool.
Candace Kappa, I'm bad with Italian names and I have one. Kappa something. Kappa, please don't.
Okay,
Candace, please
that's
do not be mad at me. But anyhow, it's women all over. Absolutely. It's not just in this area.
So I mean, I would definitely like to look into that as well. But like I said, you have so many things to talk about and your life has been so exciting and you've done so many things, especially to help women. I also want to ask you, and I know we talked about this during your first episode here with us, that you were able to maybe reach out to Heidi, or not Heidi, to Wendy Richter. Has she responded to you yet?
No, I literally sent her 3 different inbox messages.
Okay.
And I sent her 2 text messages. And I just figured I actually screenshot your radio, Rasslin Radio, and sent that to her. That was actually, I sent the last one. I sent Facebook Messenger, the picture, your name, and Rasslin Radio to show her.
Right.
And I also sent her in a text the same thing. So I copy pasted and did it. And that one was done, I think that was 2 weeks ago.
Well,
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
She has an incredible story. She does. If she's willing to talk about it, I'd love to hear it. But in the interim, I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of the fact that you are going to be one of the superstars that are going to be there, one of the incredible women of wrestling that is going to be there. And I'm going to say this again because I put it on Facebook, and I think you know me well enough by now that I don't blow smoke up anybody's butt. Okay, that's not how I am. And I believe in my heart that you are not only a trailblazer for the women of wrestling from years ago, but that you are a trailblazer in protecting women, in doing things to help women progress. And no, we don't talk about politics on this show at all, and I will not do that. But I do believe that women, especially women everywhere, need to be protected. They need to be helped. They need to be treated so much more fairly than they are already. And I agree with you that it's your show and you put on it what you want. If anybody tries to stop you from putting on a certain thing or a certain episode, oh, well, that's how I feel. A lot of people have said to me, like, why don't you do more criticizing of people? Or why don't you do more scandals? Why don't you because it'll make you get more listeners. And I'm like, if I have to do that to get listeners, I'd rather just shut down.
Right.
This was not what this was meant for. This was meant to engage with people. This was meant to enlighten people. as to what my story was. And my story is with regard to wrestling. And Jeannie was a huge part of that. And that's what we want to do. We want to talk to people like you. We want to hear what your struggles were, what your life was like, and what you're doing now. I'm not going to come on here like some of these other podcasters and are like, well, we want to talk about, this new scandal and this sex trafficking and this. I don't want to do that. Okay. That's not what my goal is. My goal is to educate people on how things can be and how they should be and how everything should be fair and good, and how where wrestling has come and comparing it to what it was years ago, and pretty soon, Heidi, we're going to be doing our 52nd episode. Okay.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, you are our 46th week right now. Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, and we're still floating. I mean, no, I don't have 20,000 listeners. I do not. But
you're still doing it. And you're taking a little piece at a time.
Yeah. And
just
like
a little
you said,
tiny piece at a time.
I believe in my heart that this is my calling. I've always wanted to do it. I was the first woman in the world to have a talk show on the radio about professional wrestling in the 80s. And I am damn proud of that. Okay.
You should be.
And I am. And I want to keep doing it. I want to keep reaching out to people. And I want to be that Heidi Lee Morgan in this area. I do. I really do. And I want to do the best I can to help people because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to hit rock bottom. I know what it's like to have a bad family life. I know what it's like to be molested by a family member. I know what it's like to lose your whole family in a year and a half. I know what it's like to have drugs and alcohol in your family. I know. Okay. So when I speak as you do from experience. Okay. I know what it's like to have 2 failed marriages. Okay. I know. I'm not saying that I know everything. Of course not. But this is what I want to do.
You survived it, right, Carmela?
Have to.
You survived it.
And I've survived it by the grace of God. And I'm going to be honest with that. That's by the grace of God. And God has put some amazing people in my life. That lady right there that you're looking at, Jeannie, she's my family. And we have, there's family by blood and there's family of choice. She's my family of choice. And I have people like that in my life. And I'm more than grateful, And this is why I want to hear from you, and I want the fans to hear from you. Yeah, everybody wants to hear wrestling. Of course they do. That's what this is about. All right. But when somebody like you does what you do, okay, to interject into another field, into training, into helping people, like you said, especially people like me that are older, to move, to live, to have some kind of quality of life, to help people who are domestic abuse or abuse survivors, to help people who are, in pain and hurting, to help people who have been through the mill and had nowhere to go and nowhere to turn, and to help people who have been criticized by society not feel so criticized anymore. To me, that is prime. Okay. And that's what I want to talk about. And that's what I want to hear about. And I got to be honest with you, listening to what you have talked about tonight. And again, I say this to you again, because I am not one to keep my mouth shut for a long time, but I have enjoyed listening to everything you've said. And I've learned, and you inspired me to want to do what you do in any possible way that I can. So you will be hearing from me when we're off the air at some point. Okay.
Absolutely.
But we're going to talk a little bit more about the wrestling. I want to ask you, as anybody, as a fan, as a wrestler, have you signed the petition for the banner yet?
No, I didn't.
Heidi Lee Morgan.
No, I think you sent it. You're gonna have to resend it. I'm not.
I'm going to send it.
Yeah, please resend it so I can.
I'm going to send it. Yes. And you know what? We only need 156 more signatures. Now it's going to be 155.
I can probably get a couple. I could probably get a couple people to do it.
Perfect.
Perfect. Just like sign it,
I will, and I'll tell you what. When I drop the show, we're going to put the link on there for the poster, the banner. And then, if you don't mind, if you could share it as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then we could promote the heck out of this, and it'll be great. But I want to put you on a spot right now. Okay. Sure. After the show in May. Okay. Right. We're going to wait till then, because we're trying to book the other wrestlers that are going to be on the show. After the show in May, if you would honor us by coming back again.
Absolutely.
I would love to, again, hear more of what you have to say. I know to me and Jeannie, like your story is unreal. Okay.
Yeah.
And you are positive proof or proof positive that somebody who was just a kid starting out with nothing has turned into somebody who, I mean, money, like you said, money's not that important. You have to live. Yes, absolutely. But you have come so far and you're helping other people. And I can't tell you, to me personally, how much that means. It's everything to so many people. And I've been one of those people who had nowhere to turn. I've lived out of my car in boxes. Okay. I've been there, done that. And that's why a lot of people don't understand that. But yeah, it's been tough. It's been a tough life. And you are an inspiration to so many people. You're an inspiration to me. And I just absolutely love the hell out of you. And to me, that lady back there and you have not changed at all. You are an amazing woman.
At all.
And
My only regret is I wish I would have known you back in the day, because it was, I know, and I've said this before, but not to you. So listeners, forgive me for repeating myself, but I really wanted to be a wrestler. And Dominic DiNucci offered to train me. And he actually got me in a ring in his school and had one of his students suplex me. And I loved it. And I knew why he was doing it, because he thought, okay, she's going to get the bug and now I get to train her. But I wouldn't do it because I saw at 18, 19 years old, it's a man's world, wrestling. Mm-hmm. And women were treated like crap unless you were born in the business.
Right. That's why my dad didn't want me in it.
Exactly.
I agree with you, Jeannie. I just like me and Alundra Blaze, when we went to WrestleMania. Oh, when I saw Judy and Leilani, matter of fact, in August, we did a big WrestleCon down in North Carolina. And we were talking, we got to hang out a little bit with Susan Green and Debbie Combs. And they're like, how in God's green earth did you not get caught up in some of the crap that Moolah did to them? That and I can't say like Moolah didn't do that stuff that you hear that she's done with other people to me. And I honestly, like, even when I went to WWE, yeah, I wasn't a champion with them, but they were getting ready to work an angle because of my flying technique. I didn't have the mic savvy down, and you have to have that side of it. I was just strictly an athlete in the industry, and you have to be okay with that. And I'm okay with that. I did not have the persona that Luna Vachon and Sherry Martel had. Incredible talent on the microphone. No one can take that away from them. They can't take that away from Leilani Kai. Leilani Kai is another one. But I was an athlete in the industry. I was not a mic person in the industry. I was strictly the squared circle entertainer. Could entertain you in the ring very well. Very easy to hook you with the finger and guide you in a theatrical show in 20 minutes. I knew how to do that, and I did that well, but I didn't have the persona that these other incredible women did have. And then some of the new talent that's coming up. I mean, it's incredible how these women can talk on the mic as well as the gentlemen. But that's why my dad, honestly, Jeannie, did not want me in it. And when we were talking, the only thing I can attribute, my father was nuts, which that has its pluses and minuses. It taught us, my sister and I, how to deal with dysfunction. Dad was never he never did drugs, never drank, but dad had a very angry streak. We were not abused by my father. We saw our father abuse the world. Like he would go, we would go out to eat. I was like 7 years old. And if there was a table of men being loud because they were drinking, my father would give them one warning. I'm out with my family. Shut the F up. And they'd get louder because who are you going to tell? And my dad would just literally go over. Part of the wrestler came out of him, but his anger did too, because he didn't like drunks. And he'd flip the table over.
I've done that. I've flipped the table over. I
But you
have.
can't, right? But you can't do that now. You'll go to
No,
jail. But
no,
back
not
then you
today. You
could,
can't.
right? But you could then, right?
Yeah.
And so this was the dysfunction I was raised with. That was a normalcy for my life. And you learn how to
Hmm.
deal with it, right? And learn how to deal with people that are like that, to know how to calm them down or to bring them back to some type of sanity level. So I told Judy and Leilani and Debbie and Susan, I said the only thing I can honestly think was Daddy being nuts. He literally told Mula when I went down in June, because I started training in June of 1986.
Hmm.
He told he told he told her, he said, Lillian, I will tell you right now, one MFer touches my daughter in any way, I will burn this whole state down and I will get you. Do you understand me?
Well, there you go. That's why nothing happened to you.
No,
Yeah.
and that reputation, but also, here's the other side. I also made sure that I would not let that armor down,
Thank you.
because
Yeah.
if you let it down and there's a back door, then you could lose yourself, right?
Exactly. Well,
And
not to interrupt you, but I wanted to tell you this other interview that I was just on. I was asked like, "What's the difference? How come you are not associated? Or you weren't a ring rat?" Okay, same reason you're saying. I was
right.
never a ring rat, and I will never
um
tolerate anybody calling me that
nope, you were
because
never ever.
never.
That was one of the things I loved most, was you had integrity back
I
then when I
always
met you.
thank
Not
you. I
one
always had
guy ever,
I always had
ever,
self-respect. I
never,
never nope, I never kissed
never,
anybody's butt. I
nope,
never did what the other girls did. If a
no,
guy wanted to talk to me, he came to me. He went out of his way for me. I never
right,
did that. And again, like I said, many years ago, it was easy. They could get anybody they wanted. It was
absolutely, in
easy to
every
be
town, in
exactly.
every
And
town.
they had one in every town, married or
That's
not.
why
They
I
didn't
never
care.
dated any of them. That's why I never dated any of them, because I saw that,
Yep,
you know.
exactly. I mean,
And I was an
I did a
Vestal
couple.
virgin. Listen, I was an Vestal virgin. I had
No.
three gentlemen friends that had nothing to do with wrestling, that became my friends because they were wrestling fans, that I was sweet on.
Right.
Three. And so I was an Vestal virgin, but it wasn't with the boys.
No.
Never with the boys.
I'm going to be honest. I did date several of them. I did. But again, my parents were around and I was always that kind of person. Even later when my parents weren't there, I was always that kind of person. Like you're saying, you want to do A, B, and C with so and so, you go ahead and knock yourself out. When it comes to me, and you know what? I got to be honest. I think when you respect yourself that much, it intrigues them a little bit because either they try to break it, which they couldn't, or they
Right.
get intrigued by it. And I'm telling you right now, every single one did what they did, married, not married, whatever. They didn't care. And that's how much they cared. They didn't care about their wives, so they're not going to care about you. Okay.
Right.
But I saw, Heidi, I saw things that girls did.
Right.
Okay. I saw them bringing jewelry for the wrestlers and hiring limos for the wrestlers and bringing food and
Going
doing this.
broke.
Get
Going
the
broke.
heck no,
Yeah.
hell no.
Yeah.
And and I always said this, Dominic DeNucci stepped in as my father when my father abandoned me. Okay. And we're going to cut this short a minute.
No,
Um,
that's okay. My
okay. And
niece just came in and she said hi, so I'm gonna take it into the room. I'm on a podcast, baby girl.
okay, we'll be done in a
No,
minute.
no,
Tell
you're
her
okay.
we
Go
said
ahead.
hi. Tell her we said
They
hi.
said hello. Carmela and Jeannie said hi.
But
Go
anyway,
ahead.
and even Dominic stepped in as my dad. Like he did so many things for me. But one night we were at the arena and he said to me, he used to call me kid. He goes, "Hey,
Yes.
kid. Yeah, kid, go get me coffee." And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to go get you coffee." I said, "First of all, you want coffee, you're buying the coffee. You're giving me money and you're buying a cup for me too. Then I'll go get you coffee." And he said to me, he goes, "You don't listen." I said, "That's right." I said, I was very young when I lost my family. And no, I learned from my mother. You will be treated the way you let people treat you.
Right.
End of story. End of
Right.
story. All right, Heidi, your family's home. I love you so much. We're
Listen, we
gonna
got to get together. Carmela, I'm going to hit you up in private because I would love to have you, even if you can't come down in person. I would love to have you on a Sunday talking about We got 40 minutes live.
I
but
will
I
do
have
it.
people that can call in, and Jeannie, you as well, because you have an incredible testimony to share.
She does.
That,
She
you know
does.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
if I can, by
We would be glad to.
you know,
Yeah.
I can start filling my April schedule up with you guys.
Yep. Jeannie and I will hop in the car. We'll come down to Vineland. We'll sit there.
Yeah,
with you. We'll
I'm
do what we
very
have
close
do.
to Vineland. I'm only
she's
like 20
close.
minutes away. I'm down
Oh,
here.
that's a hop, skip, and a jump.
And
Yeah,
I
I'm in
drive-
Westville. I'm right near the Deptford Mall.
There you go.
Oh.
And I drive like a demon, so it won't take long. We'll be there in no time. We're glad we would both be honored to do it.
Yes.
Honored, absolutely.
Thank you.
Again, we're going to hit you up for episode 3 as after the results of the show go through. When we drop this, we're going to again ask you to share it, and we're going to put our for the link for the banner to sign the petition for the banner. Heidi, I cannot thank you enough. God bless you on your endeavors. God bless you.
Thank you.
And anything that you can teach me to do to help women, I am right there. And I will talk to you.
Carmela, you're already there doing it. You just don't see it. I wish you could, because you're already doing it. And that, just be who you are and just continue to do this.
Thank you. Thank you,
because
Heidi.
That's how you reach them.
Coming from you, that means a lot. It really and truly does. You are absolutely one of the ambassadors of everything good. And I am honored to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. You're going to make me cry.
Oh, that's all right. It's good tears. You take care of yourself. And
you
we'll
too,
be in
guys.
touch.
I love you.
Okay. Yes, love you. See you May 3rd.
Thank you.
See you May 3rd.
Okay. Bye-bye, honey. Bye-bye. Wasn't she? I can't. She was amazing. She really is amazing.
Just an inspiration. She really is. She really is.
I want to be her. I want to be Heidi Morgan. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
change my name.
Yeah.
All right. I don't look like that, but call me Heidi from now on. Heidi number 2. But anyway, God bless her. She is amazing. We will definitely have her on again. Yeah. Also, Jeannie and I are trying to come up with something spectacular for our 52nd episode, which is not far away. Yeah, today is 46th episode, right? So we have what, 9 more? No, what am I saying? 9 more, 7 more, right? 6 more. Yeah, 6 more. Okay. But we're going to do something special. We want you to please stay with us. Thank you so much for being with us this long. And thank you so much for your patience and your love and your devotion and your dedication. We also want to keep having fans on. So anybody who wants to be on a podcast, we're going to get Ed Bogus or Bogus. I'm not sure how we pronounce his name. He's going to be on. We're going to have Dave Katz back on. We're going to have Rich Schwartz back on. We're going to have an old friend of ours called, his name is John Wesolowski. He's going to be on. He has a lot of stories to tell, but we're going to do it. And we're going to, I can't wait. I'm excited because this podcast has a lot more to do. Please, if you get a chance, go look at Lee Cole 111. He is the podcaster for Wrestling with the Devil. His brother, whose name was Tom Cole, was one of the quote unquote ring boys from the old WWF days. So he's fighting a battle for his brother. His brother took his own life from all that happened to him before. So he's fighting a battle and we're trying to help him win that battle. So anything you have to ask, anything you want to ask, anything you want to say, the email address for Jeannie and myself is 316carmela@gmail.com. Please, please, please watch our podcast, like it, share it, talk about it. That's what we need. We need you to do it. We're proud of our followers. You know, we're proud of everybody who's been on the show. We're grateful, but we got a lot more happening between now and May 3rd. So let's get to it.
Yes.
Okay, Jeannie, we're out.
We are out. I will see you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
I am so excited. Love you too. All right. See you later.